It started with a text message. Not one of those, "Hey, what's up?" or "Did you see this meme?" texts. This one was completely mysterious, random numbers, and a cryptic plea for help about something technical, something I had absolutely zero reason to be involved with. But there I was, my phone buzzing in the middle of dinner at my childhood home, reading a message meant for someone else that somehow landed in my inbox. I was 15, sitting across from Mom and Dad, biting into a slice of homemade lasagna Mom had lovingly prepared. Dad was telling one of his classic, overly optimistic stories about how the internet was the future. He said it like it was a prophecy, while my younger sister Lily was demonstrating just how loudly you can actually watch a YouTube video at full volume without wearing headphones. The atmosphere was comfortably noisy, like always. Then the text came, "Can you fix this? Router won't connect, desperate here." The problem, I wasn't the "can you fix this" person. Nobody even remotely believed I could do tech stuff. Mom still thought I magically fixed my phone once when it restarted itself, which clearly qualified me as some kind of wizard. Dad, well, he was still trying to figure out how to sync his phone with the car's Bluetooth without accidentally calling his boss. But here's the kicker. This mysterious text was from my mom's best friend, and it wasn't addressed to me. Somehow, it had landed in my messages. I stared at the screen, feeling like I'd just been handed the keys to a spaceship I had no pilot's license for. "No way they think I can actually do this," I muttered under my breath. But if I ignored it, Mom might get swept up in an epic tech meltdown yet again. She was the kind of person who'd unplug the router to make it work better, and then forget to plug it back in. That night, I found out exactly how wrong everyone was about my tech skills. And that mysterious message? It was a weird, accidental invitation into a role I never signed up for but suddenly couldn't escape. Turns out, becoming the family's go-to tech support wasn't some planned career path. It was more like stepping into a pair of shoes that didn't quite fit but somehow made you walk taller. Overnight, everyone started seeing me differently, not because I wanted it, but because I accidentally cracked the code to keeping tech chaos at bay. It made me wonder, had you ever been shoved into a role where you thought, "Wait, I'm not ready for this," but once in, you realize maybe you've been ready all along? Because that was me, exactly. Just a normal kid in a loud house suddenly holding the remote control to the family's digital life. Except, of course, none of this was going to be easy, because that was just the beginning. Growing up, I was kind of like the family IT department, though truth be told, I was more of a self-taught intern than a seasoned pro. Tech had always fascinated me, but my parents, they treated every gadget like it was made from rocket science. Mom couldn't even send a text without accidentally calling the wrong person, and Dad would spend 15 minutes trying to turn off the GPS because it wasn't listening. So, naturally, whenever a device acted up, all eyes turned to me, even if I didn't exactly have the answers. One of those classic moments happened on a rather unremarkable Thursday afternoon. I was sprawled on the couch, halfway through a YouTube dive into how to build a gaming PC because, priorities, when I heard this high-pitched squeal from the other room, the kind of noise that, in our house, only meant one thing: Lily had done something to the Wi-Fi. Which, knowing her track record, was probably accidentally pressing the off button on the router, or, more accurately, yanking the whole thing off the shelf during one of her energetic dance performances. I peeked around the corner to see Mom pacing, phone pressed to her ear, looking like she was about to summon a tech exorcist. "I have this very important online meeting in 20 minutes, she said, voice tight, "and the internet just died." Dad was next, the eternal optimist, perched on the edge of his armchair with that hopeful grin. "Don't sweat it. A little glitch never hurts. I'm sure we can get this sorted out before kickoff." Lily, completely oblivious to the mounting crisis, responded with her trademark grin, "I didn't do anything, I swear. The Wi-Fi was working when I left the living room." Which, in hindsight, might have been true because she probably broke it with ninja speed and then swore innocence faster than we could say buffering. Mom turned her stare on me like I was some kind of wizard conjuring spells from the depths of the internet. "Can you fix this?" "You're the tech kid." I shrugged, inwardly groaning. The truth was, most of my skills came from watching tutorial videos and a few lucky guesses, not some secret tech wizardry. But with her promotion hanging on this call, I couldn't exactly say no. Walking over to the router, our battered little box of mysteries squatting in the corner, I tried the usual tricks: unplug, wait 10 seconds, plug back in. Nothing. The little lights blinked mockingly at me, like they were saying, "Nice try, kid." Just when I thought things couldn't get worse, I accidentally knocked the power strip, and boom, the whole house plunged into darkness. Total blackout. I stood there for a moment, frozen, as Mom let out a sharp, "Oh no," and Dad lit up his phone's flashlight, looking like a man ready to call in reinforcements. "Maybe we should just call a professional," Dad suggested, finally admitting defeat, though his voice was light enough to hide the worry. Yet, there I was, suddenly the star of the household tech saga, holding a flashlight and praying to every tech deity out there for a miracle. I rummaged through the junk drawer, emerging with a stack of dusty manuals. Looks like Mom's never thrown away router pamphlets, and my phone glued open to a YouTube tutorial titled, "Fixing Your Home Wi-Fi Like a Boss." Not the credentials of a certified technician, but it would have to do. Minutes passed like hours as I followed instructions, resetting the router, accessing settings, and running network diagnostics. Mom hovered nearby, half cheering, half biting her nails, while Dad paced the floor offering meaningless words of encouragement like, "You got this." Then something miraculous happened. The Wi-Fi lights blinked back on, steady and bright. Victory, right? You'd think so. But as Mom hurried to her computer, ready to start the call, her screen froze mid-load, completely unresponsive. "Not again," she muttered, frustration creeping in, and for the first time I realized nothing about this afternoon was going to be straightforward. I sat there, staring at the frozen screen, wondering just how deep this rabbit hole went. I breathed out a shaky sigh, feeling like I'd just barely dodged a tech landmine, and then walked right into another. The Wi-Fi was back, humming quietly like a nervous cat that finally settled down, but Mom's computer had decided to throw a full-on tantrum. The screen was stuck on that loading circle that spins like it's mocking you, promising everything's about to work any second now, but never actually delivering. Mom's fingers hovered over the keyboard as if willing it to cooperate. "I don't have time for this," she muttered, cheeks flushed and eyes flicking anxiously between the clock and the frozen screen. "If I don't get on this call, my promotion's toast." Dad was nowhere near the tech battlefield now. He'd retreated to the kitchen, probably plotting how to bribe a professional into coming over, or at least justifying an expensive service call. Every few minutes he would poke his head back in with a hopeful, "Any luck?" before disappearing again, leaving me to stare down this digital beast solo. And me? Well, I was starting to feel like the unofficial family tech support's emergency hotline. Except this time, no quick YouTube fix was coming easily. I tapped the keyboard, tried a few fingers on the mouse, and even reached for the power button. "Want me to reboot it?" I offered. Mom gave me a weary nod. At this point, anything. I held my breath as I slammed down the power button, watching the screen go black. The house felt suddenly too quiet, save for Lily giggling somewhere upstairs, possibly celebrating the madness she'd accidentally unleashed. When the computer flickered back on and the desktop finally appeared, a little cheer bubbled up inside me. "See? I told you I could fix it." Mom gave me a half smile, the kind that says, "I'm relieved but still nervous." "You're my hero," she said, voice soft. Then, without missing a beat, she turned to Dad and said, "Did you see that? Maybe he really is the tech kid." Dad raised an eyebrow, clearly surprised, but quickly recovered with his trademark grin. "Well, apparently we've got a resident IT specialist right under our roof." At that moment, the living room door flung open and Lily bounded in, completely innocent but radiating mischief. "Hey, good job fixing stuff, whoever fixed it." I couldn't help but laugh. "Yeah, thanks for the challenge, Lily. Next time, can you break something less important, like a lamp?" Mom rolled her eyes but smiled. "I might just start calling you before anything else goes wrong." As she settled down for her call at the desk, laptop open and waiting, I sank into the couch, the adrenaline finally ebbing. Dad was already plotting a celebratory snack run, and Lily was off to find her next project. But just as Mom's video call window opened and her face lit up, ready to charm her boss with her usual grace, her screen blinked again and froze. "No way," I muttered. Mom sighed heavily, glancing at me like I'd conjured this new gremlin. I swiped through tabs and shut down rogue programs, trying to keep calm. "Let me try one more thing." I realized her computer wasn't just frozen. There was this weird pop-up tucked in the corner of the screen. Something about a software update stuck halfway, or maybe a pending installation that just refused to finish. It wasn't a simple crash, it was a glitch with a dash of stubbornness. My heart thudded a little faster because this meant more time, more panic, and the looming threat of missing her big moment. I thought back to all those times Mom had unplugged stuff in desperation, Dad had rebooted with a hopeful grin, and Lily had cheerfully sabotaged something important without a clue. Suddenly, the chaos didn't feel so random. It was like the whole family dance of technology frustrations, with me trying to lead without anyone following the steps. I pulled open the settings menu, trying to get that update to behave, juggling options I barely understood. One wrong click could spell disaster, but I had to try. Mom's call was already ringing through the speakers. Her first impression was on the line, dangling by a thread, and all I could do was navigate through menus filled with techno jargon while my family, once dismissive, now quietly watching, waited. It took what felt like an eternity, flitting between options like a nervous DJ searching for the right track, but finally, the screen blinked back to life without that dreaded spinning wheel. Mom smiled, letting out a breath she must have been holding for minutes. "I'm genuinely impressed," she said, meeting my eyes with something that looked a lot like newfound respect. Dad nodded in agreement, and even Lily gave an approving thumbs up, though I suspected she was just happy the Wi-Fi and computer were behaving again. That afternoon, as Mom's voice filled the room with calm professionalism, leading that all-important meeting, I sank back into the couch, feeling oddly proud and completely exhausted. Who knew a broken Wi-Fi, a frozen computer, and a lot of sweat could teach so much? But as the call wrapped up and the house slowly quieted, I glanced at my phone and saw a new text pop up. "Hey, IT guy, got another problem." Apparently, the tech saga was just getting started. The strange glitch on Mom's computer wasn't about the hardware failing or some easy fix buried in the settings. It turned out to be something, well, a little more human than digital. As I dug a little deeper, poking through the software panels like an amateur detective, I spotted the problem. Mom's video conferencing app was frozen because an incoming message popped up, a chat notification she'd missed from her boss. It wasn't crashing or locking up due to a software error at all. The screen had simply paused, waiting for a response from her. That tiny pause was like a mental speed bump for Mom. As soon as I pointed it out, she clicked it, responded quickly, and suddenly the whole system came back to life. Her video call window popped open, lively and smooth like nothing had ever gone wrong. It was a weird moment seeing that the tech chaos was less about unknown bugs and more about the real-world nerves she was juggling in that quiet little corner of the screen. The frustration and pressure weren't coming from the machine. They were coming from my mom herself, putting her best foot forward, trying to prove that she'd earned that promotion. Watching her handle that call, calm, confident, and completely in command, felt like witnessing a side of Mom I hadn't really seen before. Not the flustered woman who accidentally unplugged the internet during a panic attack, or the one who called me tech wizard with a bit of awe and pity. This was Mom, the professional, the fighter, the person everyone was banking on. When the call ended, and she looked up at me with a tired but genuine smile, it felt like a silent thank you passed between us without even needing to say the words. "I couldn't have done it without you," she admitted, her usual warmth shining through exhaustion. And somehow, in that moment, I realized this whole wild saga wasn't just about fixing routers or rebooting computers. It was about stepping up when it mattered most, even if it meant fumbling through a mess of tangled wires, frantic searches on YouTube, and accidental blackouts. That afternoon marked a turning point. Suddenly, the text stopped being sarcastic or doubtful. A few more, "Can you fix this?" messages arrived, but with a hint of genuine trust and fewer eye rolls. The family started treating me like the tech support they needed rather than the kid who somehow fixed his phone once. Dad started asking questions about what I was learning, curious and maybe even a little impressed. Mom shared stories from work about how her call had gone, proudly noting, "He cracked the code, didn't he?" And Lily? She stopped blaming me for everything and even started asking innocent questions like, "How do I get Netflix back on without breaking the internet?" Looking back now, I see it wasn't the Wi-Fi being broken or Mom's frozen screen that made all the difference. It was the act of showing up, being the calm in the storm of static and buffering. The moment when gaining a bit of confidence turned into genuinely earning my place in the family's chaotic, lovable routine. And sure, the tech problems didn't just vanish overnight. No way. But from then on, when something went wrong, I wasn't just the kid they called because they felt obligated. I was the one who had shown up, the one who cared, the one who, if only accidentally, became the family tech support. Funny how life throws unexpected roles your way, isn't it? One day you're just trying to watch a video, and the next, you're the keeper of the digital peace in a house that might as well have its own disaster hotline. So yeah, that mysterious text, it didn't just change how my family saw me, it changed how I saw myself. Not because I suddenly knew everything about tech, but because I finally realized I could handle way more than I thought, especially when it really counted.